The 3D deadlift matrix is a classic training stimulus exercise. We use it a lot for the perfect deadlift warm-up, but also to address imbalances in the hips and dealing with lower back issues, especially related to deadlifting and hinge patterns. We can also tweak it to activate hamstrings in a great way to sync things up with the posterior chain. So as with all of our 3D matrices, we focus on moving a standard movement in each of the 3 planes of motion. So we're going to go sagittal, forward, back, frontal to the side, and transverse rotating with a hinge focus. So let's have a look at a few reps here. So first, we're going to do pretty much a regular hinge, focus on sending the hips back, as many of you will know well. Then we're going to reach further forwards, sending the hips even further behind, getting even more length through this posterior chain, and then one max effort. What you will notice is that I'm focusing more on reaching forwards than I am on reaching down. A common mistake with a lot of hinging is that in an effort to get the dumbbells or the barbell as close to the ground as possible, we make up for that with a lot of spinal flexion, which isn't a bad thing, but the intended stimulus for this is to get the hip complex fired up. And if we round the back reaching down, then we don't need to flex the hip so much, so we don't get so much length through the posterior hip, through the hamstrings. So I like to reach forwards at about shin height, sometimes even knee height if somebody is very back dominant, and it's not wrong to go even higher than that. Sometimes I'll use the cue of sliding a piece of paper across a table, so even higher up, because as long as you're reaching forwards, you're going to have to send the hips backwards to counterbalance, because if you send a lot of weight forwards and you don't send anything back, you're going to topple forwards. So the body's always trying to find that balance point. So those are the sagittal reaches. Then the frontal, we start with a normal one, then we're going to reach the hands to the right, and in that same principle of counterbalancing, the hips are going to go to the left. So you're going to get a bit of glute med, you get glute max as well, but you're going to get glute med on the outside, and you're going to get lateral hamstrings as well. Similar principle, we do one medium range and then one longer range. One thing here is try to keep your shoulders relatively square. We're not twisting and rotating yet. We're doing that in the next part of the sequence. But the real emphasis, as with all of these hinge variations, is the displacement of the hips. So don't worry too much about where the dumbbells go. Focus more on sending the hips wide and use the dumbbells as the counterbalance rather than the task itself. Then into the transverse plane, we rotate now. So this time we are sending the shoulders around the corner, which means we're going to twist the hips. We're going to get some external rotation challenge on the right hip and internal rotation challenge on the left hip. So that's one of the great things about all of these matrices when we're doing the 3D matrices, the Stimulus 6 matrices, is we're ticking a lot of boxes in every single rep. So we're getting work on both hips just from this one tweak in the variation. And then the final one, reaching all the way around, getting as much internal rotation as we can. This isn't perfect for me. Ideally, we keep that big toe on the ground, and that will encourage more internal rotation. This is a bit of a compensation here. Might be a little bit tight in that left glute on that day. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Remember, you can always upload your videos to the discussion panel in school to get some feedback of you or your clients. We love talking about this sort of stuff. And don't forget to check out the Exercise of the Week series on YouTube, and also our exercise library where we've got 600 plus similar movements for you to expand your movement mechanics arsenal. But have a great day. Catch you next week.